Hi there everyone, and welcome to the lessons on the IELTS speaking section. For this section, we'll be covering what this is all about, how to answer the various parts of this section, and learn some useful vocabulary and phrases. This section is quite an interesting one, and you will definitely learn quite a bit. What you learn for this section isn't only for the IELTS, but also skills you can use in and for your day-to-day conversations, as well as boost your confidence. So what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. We're going to kick off this lesson by learning about the IELTS speaking section in more detail. The IELTS speaking section lasts for around 11 to 14 minutes and is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is called the introduction and interview. Here, you will be asked general questions about yourself and a range of topics familiar to you, such as about your home, family, work, interests, etc. Part 2 of this section is called the individual long term. You will be given a topic to speak about for 2 minutes. You will also get 1 minute to prepare yourself for this. Here's an example of a prompt you could be asked. Describe a teacher who has greatly influenced you in your education. You could say, where you met them, what subject they taught, what was special about them, and explain why this person influenced you so much. The examiner will then go on to ask you a few more questions regarding the same topic. This whole part will probably last around 3 to 4 minutes. The final part, part 3, is a two-way discussion. Here, you will have a longer discussion about the topic introduced in part 2. I like to say that the questions asked during this part are quite abstract because you'll be discussing more abstract issues and ideas. If we take the example that we just discussed about a teacher who has greatly influenced you in your education, some follow-up questions could be, what role should the teacher have in a classroom? Or, do you think computers will one day replace teachers in the classroom? Or even, how can a teacher make lessons for children more interesting? This is exactly what we meant when we said abstract. The follow-up questions are still related to the topic from part 2, but the questions are structured in a different way. This part usually lasts for 4 to 5 minutes. Now that we got the structure for this section, let's go on to discuss the assessment criteria. You will be assessed on the following criteria: fluency and coherence, or fluency and accuracy, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. Let's go into more detail, starting with fluency and accuracy, or fluency and coherence. You will be marked on your ability to speak with normal levels of continuity, rate, and effort. The examiner will also look at how you are able to link your ideas and language together to form coherent, connected speech. There are some key indicators for both these criteria, and they are, for fluency, speech rate and speech continuity, and for coherence, logical sequencing of sentences, clear marking of stages in a discussion, narration or argument, and the use of cohesive devices, which are, for example, connectors, pronouns, and conjunctions, within and between sentences. Moving on to lexical resources. This refers to the range of vocabulary you can use and the precision with which meanings and attitudes can be expressed. You will need to use a wide variety of words adequately and appropriately and demonstrate your ability to get around a vocabulary gap by using other words, with or without noticeable hesitation. Next up on the assessment criteria is grammatical range and accuracy. This means you will be assessed on the range and the accurate and appropriate use of grammatical resources. For grammatical range, the examiner will be assessing you on the length and complexity of your spoken sentences, the appropriate use of subordinate clauses, and the range of sentence structures, especially to move elements around for information focus. When it comes to grammatical accuracy, you will be assessed on whether the number of grammatical errors in a given amount of speech affect your communication. And last but not least, pronunciation. You will be assessed on your ability to produce comprehensible speech. The key indicator here would be the amount of strain caused to the listener, which would be the examiner. Now, a lot of students think that pronunciation means changing your accent, but you can be rest assured it doesn't. You just need to be able to speak clearly in order to be understood by the examiner, so don't worry. So this section also tends to get some students a little nervous due to lack of confidence, fear of making mistakes, grammatical errors, etc. But the more you practice speaking, in English that too, the more confident and prepared you'll be. Well, that's it for this lesson. Stay tuned for the next one where we'll learn vocabulary and phrases for this section. See you then!